Hey everybody, welcome to the New Deal, New Minute, October 26th, 2020. We have 8 days until the election, 8 days until November 3rd, with over 50 million ballots count already. We're approaching halfway toward the total of number of votes that we had last year, which is extremely impressive. It's still a week out, and you would assume that there's going to be large turnout on election day. So we'll see how the numbers turn out, but it could be a record-breaking year. I just want to remind everybody before I get into the news, and we're going to keep it simple today, please check out last week's episode of the podcast. I had my first ever guest co-host, Kyle Andre of the podcast Dragon Ball Super Dope. Just a little bit of cross-promotion. He's been into politics. I brought some politics to his show that we recorded last night. So Dragon Ball Super Dope fans will be looking out for me on his podcast to go over my top 5 reasons to avoid the Trump vote. And that should be coming out sometime later this week. I'll also have a new episode coming out later this week, probably focused on the election in some way, shape, or form since it's coming. And then the next episode will probably be on the election, and the following episode will probably be on the election. So it's going to be election fever here. So let's get to today's news. Just going to keep it real simple. And we got a couple of big stories. And I want to start, as I have, with COVID, because even though maybe it shouldn't be the biggest story, because there are other things going on, it continues to be the biggest story. The chief of staff for Donald Trump came out and said that he did not think that, we won't be able to control the virus, is what he said. And he's since walked it back. But this is just another example of the Trump administration making light of the coronavirus and just basically admitting defeat. And, it goes right along with the herd immunity strategy. So he comes out and says that he backtracks, but why it would even cross your mind as the chief of staff for the White House to say anything like that, anything close to that publicly, is beyond me. They just cannot get their messaging straight. So Mark Meadows said they won't be able to control the virus. Then today, just this morning, Donald Trump said again that we're rounding the turn on the coronavirus when we are now officially at our highest daily total for coronavirus cases ever since the start of the pandemic. We have never seen so many cases in a single day ever. This is worse than March and April and May. This is the worst it's been, but we're rounding the corner on coronavirus, which to me means we're limiting the spread. Numbers are really good. Numbers are going way down. We're thinking about getting back to normal in some capacity. We're nowhere near it. We're talking about potentially shutting things down again because it's getting so bad. Healthcare systems, especially in the Midwest, are beginning to be overrun. I believe I saw that there are no ICU beds in the Salt Lake City area, which is, there's none left. And again, we're not even into flu season yet. This is just the beginning. We have a lot to worry about. We're not rounding the corner. Donald Trump is so out of touch with what's going on the ground, and he's just helpless. He's useless. He has no clue. He's clueless. He has no clue what's going on, and why people continue to put faith in a man who has no idea what the actual situations on the ground are, seemingly ever, is beyond me. I honestly don't care what your policy is. The guy has no clue. None. He would not be. No company would hire him. No company would keep him if they did hire him. He would have been fired before the 90-day trial period was over. In any company, any responsible company, vote him out. There are lives at stake, literally. Vote him out. The other big story is that we have the likely confirmation of Amy Coney Barrett tonight in a vote. Mitch McConnell will finally get his deepest, darkest wish in taking the country back probably 50 years if he gets his way. And he won't have to live with it because he'll be dead because he's getting there anyway. So, chipping away at women's rights, chipping away at civil rights, chipping away at election rights. And it's just sad. And the saddest thing is, and maybe we saw this coming, but this might be the end of the GOP, depending on how badly Trump gets beat, depending on if the Democrats really do take the House and the Senate. You've got movements like the Lincoln Project that are bolstering the center. If Trump gets trounced here, you will effectively have, sitting in the Senate especially, a group of senators who decided to put their careers in bed with Donald Trump and to ride that as far as it would go. And if it only went 4 years, they are all on tape saying he's a terrible person. Don't vote for him. He shouldn't be the president. And then flip-flopping and supporting him and supporting everything he did. And then you've got people like Lindsey Graham saying we shouldn't have a vote for a Supreme Court justice in election year in 2016, and then flipping the script in 2020 as the chair of the Judiciary Committee. That type of hypocrisy is apparent to even the most avid of Republicans. And they might defend it, but it doesn't mean it's not hypocrisy. It just means that you're choosing to defend the hypocrisy, which is a little bit different. And I think the best example of this was this week when Lisa Murkowski, senator from Alaska, came out and said that even though she doesn't think a justice should be confirmed in an election year, she's going to vote to confirm anyway. Where is your integrity? Where is the dignity? I mean, you're saying that you have an ideal and you have a standard and you don't think that that standard should be, or you think that that standard should hold true, but you're going to vote against your better judgment. Are you voting for your constituents? Are you trying to set a good example for anybody? It's like I said in my podcast 2 weeks ago, it's blatant, in your face, unapologetic hypocrisy. And they're willing to stake their careers on this. And it's up to the American people to make them pay with their careers. Vote them out of office. Get people who are willing to tell the truth, take a stand, admit when they were wrong, and stand up for some policy instead of this wishy-washy crap. You know, people like honesty. Try to be honest. It's just been sickening. So the GOP might be done. If Trump is out, if the House and the Senate end up going Democrat with movements like the Lincoln Project coming up, and I'm sure that there will be more to follow, you might see a Lincoln Party. You might see something along those lines. They have a huge amount of traction, and the right has gone too far to the right. And I know that a lot of Republicans will say the left is too far left, but the extreme left just wants to protect the planet. They just want some to protect against climate change, put some EPA regulations out there, stop polluting, like stuff we heard like from Rocco's Modern Life, like don't pollute, like growing up as kids, like we all know it. And guess what? The extreme left is like, oh yeah, protect the environment. God forbid. The extreme right is pulling crap like this. So here's what we need to do. Here's the call to action. As Democrats, as liberals, we need to make sure that we are ready to go. Amy Coney Barrett is going to be confirmed. When Amy Coney Barrett is confirmed, we need to be ready to go fight. We need to be ready to organize. We need to be ready that when they try to put Roe v. Wade, when they try to rule it unconstitutional, when they try to chip away at election rights, when they try to bolster corporate rights and money in politics, we need to be ready to organize. And we need to start calling for, because it's time. And I just learned this. This is the longest gap in American history we've gone without the passage of a substantial constitutional amendment. The Constitution is supposed to be amended. It should happen regularly as culture changes. We've sat stagnant too long. It is time for a constitutional amendment protecting Roe v. Wade. It is time for a constitutional amendment protecting voting rights. It's time for a constitutional amendment protecting civil rights and against discrimination in the workplace. It is time for constitutional amendments. We cannot sit by and hope that they rule that it remains constitutional. We need to make it constitutional by putting it in the Constitution. So get ready to call your reps, get ready to organize, get ready to go, because we're headed in that direction, but we need to hit the fast forward button a little bit. We need to get there. We need to be a little bit stronger. We need to demand accountability from our reps. And if the Democrats take it, if the Democrats take the presidency, the House, and the Senate, then we need to demand of them that we get action on these fronts. So that is the New Minute for Monday. It's going to be a busy week, I'm sure. Thank you guys for checking in and watching. You should wash as well, but thank you for watching, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Have a good one.